Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 7 of the NordCast. Today, it is the Halloween special. Quite a spooky episode today, I guess. I'm joined here with Carter.
How's it going?
And Jack.
What's up?
And we actually have a special guest for a Halloween episode today, and it is a big one. This guy has 66,000 followers on TikTok, 1,700 followers on Instagram, 1,300 followers on Twitter, and 1,800 subscribers on YouTube. We have the big man himself, Tkdmaxbjj, aka.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We got to bring on the big Bruins man for our
of course.
Bruins segment podcast. And I mean, that's going to be our main topic today, talking about the Boston Bruins. But first off, I do want to say one thing. I didn't mention this to the guys, but the World Series is on right now. So what are your predictions for the World Series? I know Game 2 is on right now. I'm not sure what the score is, but what do you guys think? I think Phillies in 5, and that could be biased, but
Phillies in 5.
I said Astros in 5, but I hope they don't win just because they're cheaters.
I want the Phillies to win, yeah.
I do want the Phillies to win, yeah.
So I'm going to say they win.
I don't follow baseball ever, but I know about the Astros cheating scandal, and no matter what now, I hate the Astros, so we're going Phillies.
You're not
even
alone.
if they didn't cheat this year, we don't know if they have yet.
No, it's 3-0 right now, top of the 5th for the Astros. So
Astros, oh dang it.
I said the Astros would win Game 2, and then I think the Phillies would go back home and just win everything.
Yeah, because
win the next.
They're good at home.
Yeah.
So.
And baseball is weird because they have the 3 games at home now, right? And then 6 and 7 would be back in Houston, I think.
I think so. Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah, that's how they do it.
It's weird.
Okay, but anyways, enough about baseball. We're going to talk about the big bad Bruins today. So the Boston Bruins, as of right now, are, if I'm correct, 8-1 right now. They are at the top of the league, top of the East. They are just dominating on all cylinders. And when it looked like at the start of the year, things weren't looking so good because Marchand was out, McAvoy was out. There was some other questions regarding this team. There have been some injuries as well midway through this season, but still, the Bruins
new head coach too.
Oh yeah, that as well. Jim Montgomery coming in as a new head coach, and really, this team surprised me. I thought they'd be solid, but I didn't think they'd be this dominant so early. They have been very, very good, and to the surprise of a lot of people, Brad Marchand has returned to the lineup way earlier than expected. I figured he'd be back like Thanksgiving, but nope, he comes back way earlier. So, Max, how do you feel as a Bruins fan right now? I can't imagine you feel any.
I feel pretty good, but it's cautious optimism because I feel like they're playing higher than what their expectations are. Usually the Bruins start off pretty slow. Everybody thinks they're going to be a wild card team or miss the playoffs, and then they get hot and they end up riding into the playoffs, but then sometimes they cool down going into the playoffs. So it's kind of weird optimism because Marchand has played for 1 game, McAvoy's still not back. But is it just trying to prove themselves, new head coach, and just going? Are teams going to start figuring them out? I don't know. I don't want to get too excited, but at the same time, we're 8-1, so it's kind of hard not to be excited.
Well, it is early, so there are a couple teams that are struggling to get into the rhythm, which it does make sense that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, teams that are not doing so good right now, Florida's one of them. Tampa's looked pretty mediocre. So there's a couple teams there that are struggling to get into their theme, but the Bruins had no trouble getting to it so early, and I definitely think that with McAvoy out, this team kind of did have something to prove. There were some people that were doubting this team heading into this year. I was kind of one of them. I was saying they're probably going to finish maybe 4th or 5th in the division. And that was only because of how the questions between Ottawa and Detroit. But yeah, this team so far has looked really, really good. And I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to get my hopes up too much because there is still a lot of time before playoffs.
Yeah.
So, we'll see, but I think that definitely McAvoy can come back. That blue line will be improved a lot more, but so far it has looked pretty solid. Carter, Jack, you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah,
go ahead, Carter. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go. So one thing, their goaltending has been really good, especially from Linus Ullmark. looking at him, he's 6-0. He is one of the few undefeated goalies remaining. He's 1.7 goals against average, a 9.45 save percentage. Like this guy has looked awesome to start the year. Pasternak, 17 points in 9 games. He is firing on all cylinders right now. Bergeron, a point per game guy. Krejci, point per game guy. A lot of guys just under that. And Marchand, first game back, he puts up 3 points. This, like, honestly, this is looking like a really good Bruins team in a tough Atlantic division. They're looking like, so far they look like they could take it home. But
that's the thing too, because it's like the Atlantic, everybody's expecting to be so difficult. So these early games might end up really mattering compared 100%. To other divisions where, like, if a team in like the Oilers starting off a bit weaker, they could probably still make the playoffs if they start really slow. Whereas in the Atlantic, you kind of don't have that space to suck at the beginning.
No, there's too many good teams in that division for you to afford to be slow. So
I mean, in the whole Eastern Conference too.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm also throw this in here too. This could honestly be huge for Boston because, like, let's look at a team like, I don't know, Ottawa, but Ottawa's looked solid so far, and I mean,
it's the only Bruins loss.
Yeah, and they're like a team that, like, people were wondering, are they going to make the playoffs? Are they not? And that was one of those teams that was like, eh. So maybe let's say hypothetically, actually no, I'll use Florida as an example. Ottawa's a bad one because they've been good to start the year. Florida's been pretty mediocre. So let's say Florida is mediocre and then they start heating up, and then come playoff time, like a week before the playoffs, this team's a couple points out of the wild card spot, and look at the Bruins, they're right in there. So let's say, and the Bruins, like you said, they could cool off and they could finish at one of those wild card spots. So I definitely think a good start is definitely huge.
For sure.
And I'll throw in another question too before Jack gives his thoughts, because we always forget about him. How has Pavel Zacha
usually
been
me?
So far?
What's that?
How has Pavel Zacha been so far?
Pavel Zacha, I've actually really liked. David Krejci was injured for the Blue Jackets game, and so he's apparently day-to-day for now. He took that high sticking from Rasmussen that got him the 2-game suspension, but Zacha slotted in as the second-line center alongside Hall and Pasternak, and he looked great. Like, he's very versatile. We put him on the 4th line, the 1st line, the 2nd, anywhere, wing, center. He's been super versatile, something that Eric Howla wasn't perfect at. He's been great on the forecheck. I really like him. I think that trade made sense, and I think Howla's doing good in New Jersey as well. So it's kind of working out as a good hockey trade. Nice 1-for-1 deal.
Yeah, really solid, really underrated acquisition there for the
sure.
Bruins, obviously. Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they've just been a great team overall. I haven't watched any of their games, I'll be honest, but, like, I watch these highlights, and I mean, forwards clicking, defensemen clicking, goalie's great. I mean, yeah, anytime you can start off a season 8-1, that's huge. And I don't expect them to slow down, honestly. They've looked really good.
Yeah, me neither. Who do they play next game? Do you know?
Pittsburgh. This week is going to be the tough week because they play the Penguins. I know they play the Leafs next week as well.
It goes at Pens, at Rangers, at Leafs, and then they finish it at home at St. Louis.
And I think, like, the Hurricanes are up on the schedule too fairly soon. I could be wrong.
No, Hurricanes aren't till the 25th of November. So you got a little bit of time to
McAvoy might be back around that time too. So.
Yeah, so it is going to be a huge week. Definitely going to be a big test. But honestly, if they keep playing the way they're playing, I think it won't be that big of a problem.
For sure.
To be honest. So I think this team will do pretty good. So the last thing that I have before we get into the trade, which kind of like intercrosses into our next topic, are you still? How do I word this question? It involves Bruce Cassidy and Jim Montgomery. Are you still mad at Don Sweeney for firing Bruce Cassidy?
No, and I think I jumped the gun a little bit on freaking out because I didn't think there was anything wrong with coaching. But sometimes it doesn't have to be like an apparent, oh, the coach sucks. It's just like maybe the guys just need a refresher. And I think Brandon Carlo touched on that. Like, Cassidy's voice was kind of getting annoying. Not annoying, that's a bad word, but it was kind of getting like you hear the same thing from the same voice over and over again. Yeah, and so it doesn't like change, if nothing changes for them. And Montgomery, it's a new voice, new expectations. And he's allowing the team to play a lot more offensive. That's why Pasternak's putting up such insane numbers and everyone's producing offensively, because Cassidy would punish players if they made a tiny mistake. Montgomery's like, it's okay if you make mistakes. Your teammates will back you up on those defensive errors and then just keep playing offense. And it's working so far, so we'll see if it keeps working.
Yeah, Cassidy's a good coach. I'm not going to deny
100%.
that. He's done good things for this Bruins team, but yeah, I agree with you. Maybe they just needed like a new voice in that locker room.
Exactly. And I think Vegas is second in the league right now?
Yeah,
which
Vegas
is where Cassidy is. So
yeah,
like
so
it's not like he's a bad coach. It's just need a new voice. And that's not always a bad thing.
I'd like to quickly jump in and say one thing. Jack, are you okay?
Oh, after the Hawks loss, I was watching. Yeah.
Oh.
I just saw it.
That's unfortunate. But yeah, any last thoughts on solely the Boston Bruins? We're about to intercross topics here. So any last things? Okay.
No, they've just looked great. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. So with the Bruins being good, they did make a trade on Thursday. The Bruins acquired goaltender Mikey DiPietro and defenseman Jonathan Myrenberg. In exchange, the Vancouver Canucks received forward Jack Studnicka. And at this point when this trade happened, the Canucks haven't won a game yet. So, Max, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on this deal overall?
For the Canucks, I don't really understand the logic behind it. Studnicka's not going to be a game changer by any means. Maybe not yet. He's a decent prospect. At one point, he was like the best prospect of the system. I never really believed that, but Bruins also have a really weak prospect system. But he got a few chances here and there. Bruins center depth has always been really strong. Bergeron, Krejci, Coyle, Nosek now as well. So when Studnicka would get his chance, he wouldn't really have a lot of opportunity to flourish. A team like Vancouver doesn't have as strong of a forward core, so he has more opportunity to possibly succeed. But giving up two prospects, and I heard Myrenberg, he's like one of their best right-hand defenseman prospects. So I don't necessarily understand that move, because if you're going to give up a prospect like that, maybe package in some other guys to get an actual good roster player instead of a guy who's going to be like a bottom six forward. But for the Bruins, it made sense. They had to do it.
I think the reason why they made this deal all around for Vancouver was because I think they wanted to get Mikey DiPietro out of there. And
that's a good point.
There were those rumors of DiPietro maybe wanting to leave Vancouver because, let's face it, Vancouver's goalie system, although it doesn't look good right now, it is pretty deep. There are some solid goalies all the way down to the backup at the AHL level with Abbotsford. So, they wanted to get him out of there and maybe give him more of a chance. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why they dealt him to Boston, because they already have two solidified goalies.
And even in the AHL, the Bruins have two tandem goalies that, so you have to wonder if maybe one of those Bruins goalies are getting flipped. The Bruins are going to have to make another trade when McAvoy comes back. They're going to need to free up some cap space. So there's a potential package deal coming soon. I don't think Sweeney's done yet. And
I'm not sure, and I'll say this too while you throw that in. I'm not sure why the Canucks didn't take advantage of that and tried to get a defenseman now. Maybe they'll do it in the future, because I did see, I think it might have been Puck Empire, but I saw a post saying that they will need to trade probably another defenseman or somebody to clear cap space. But I'm not sure. But as for Vancouver's side of this deal, they did trade Jason Dickinson, and Studnicka's a center, right? He's a center, correct? As you said, center.
Studnicka is a center, yeah. They tried experimenting him with some wing, but he's a center.
Yeah, he's a bona fide center. So they did trade Jason Dickinson over to Chicago, which he's looked good so far, right, Jack?
Yeah.
He's looked very good. So I think Studnicka, he's younger, and that's definitely better than a guy like Jason Dickinson. So maybe he comes in, slots that fourth line center or third line center. Could be solid for Vancouver.
For sure.
I didn't think it's what they need right now. I thought
Me neither. And that's kind of my point too. Is if you're going to give up two prospects, even if DiPietro wanted out, package for something you actually need. You don't need a bottom six center.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Carter, do you guys have any thoughts? Me and Max kind of just talked back and forth there.
Yeah. No,
he's the Bruins expert, so he has the right.
Yeah. No, I was shocked that they traded for. They got DiPietro. I don't know why they I know that they needed another piece in that, but I don't know if because as Max said, their goalies are fantastic. In the NHL, they're good. Even in the AHL, they're solid. So I don't know if a goalie was that piece that they needed, or I don't know, but as you said, Sweeney's not done. So
I don't think so.
well, DiPietro might be getting booted again.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But in addition to Sweeney not being done, I also don't think the Canucks are done either making moves. And we're going to give a little bit of an update. In the last episode, we talked about Vancouver and how they were, I think, 0-4 when we made that episode. So they were not good at all. And we said that, they have every chance to turn this around. They were coming off of their home game. They lost against Minnesota, but hey, they were going home. They were going to do solid. And they lost to Buffalo. There were jerseys being thrown on the ice. It was not a fun atmosphere. They lost to Carolina, too. And then they made the Stanika trade. Then they won against Seattle. And then they made this trade with Carolina, which we'll get into in a second here. And then they won against, I think, Pittsburgh. So I'm going to ask this question before we get into the Canucks. And this could become a whole entire different discussion. What are your guys' thoughts on jerseys being thrown on the ice? If anybody wants to chip in, whoever wants to go first. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just think they're trying to show the team pretty much that they're done with their BS. Start winning games or we're going to stop supporting you pretty much. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird move, but yeah.
I personally could never see myself throwing a jersey.
Yeah, same.
No.
I love my jerseys.
That too, and they're expensive.
Yeah.
I don't see how it hurts the team. You already paid for the jersey. They already made merch sales. You're just
Yeah.
throwing it on the ice.
Yeah, you're just throwing crap on the ice. Said that.
If anything, don't go to the games. And when attendance rates drop, then it's like, whoa, maybe we should change something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Ottawa. Even though nothing happened from that, they still didn't go to the games, and that's why they had such low attendance for so many years.
Exactly.
I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid that you're throwing away such nice, expensive jerseys. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Honestly, if I was in Vancouver, I would have ran onto the ice and got those jerseys because
Yeah.
I'll be dead honest, like jerseys are expensive, and especially with Canada's probably might be the same way, but like with inflation going up here in America.
Oh, yeah.
It is that jerseys cost so much.
Oh, yeah.
Like even jerseys on clearance, they're expensive. So like it's just crazy. I hate it. Carter?
Yeah. I don't understand the point of it. Like if there's so many other ways that you can like show it, and like just completely disrespecting a team that you've like these people have watched this team for their whole lives, just completely disrespecting
100%.
something that you've been a fan of and watched for so many years is just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I don't like when fans do it. Like sometimes they just do it to try and be like, oh, like I'm going to do this. It'll be funny. And then it's just stupid. So I'm not a big fan of it.
They regret it. I guarantee they regret
yeah.
it. The second that jersey hits the ice, they're like, why did I do that?
Yeah. Or you get a guy like Leon Draisaitl and he throws it right back to the fan.
Oh yeah, I saw
You
that.
guys see that clip?
Yeah.
Even like I'm gonna say this too. Even like during a hat trick, like I like this one game that I went to was a Phantoms game, and a Phantoms player scored a hat trick, and I threw my hat onto the ice. I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I get it's for like a good reason and it's like a trend, but like I'm still like, why did I do that? Like it's just I don't know. But I mean, yeah, going back to Vancouver, they made the trade with Boston, but they also made the trade with Carolina. And this one I think made a lot more sense than the Boston deal for Vancouver. So they made a deal with the Carolina Hurricanes. They acquired defenseman Ethan Bear and forward Lane Peterson in exchange for a 2023 fifth-round pick. This makes a lot more sense for Vancouver, and as well as that, Ethan Bear to Vancouver, that has been a thing since, like, I think July of
the dawn of time.
So thank God it happened at this point. And I mean, Ethan Bear isn't like the biggest defenseman in the world that you could have got.
Solid.
Yeah. But he's going to definitely improve that. And I mean, so far after making these deals, they're 2-0. So they may be on the rise. I'm not going to go all crazy about it, but do you guys think Vancouver could turn it around? I mean, it is early, but what do you guys think? Do you think they can?
100%. Like they have a talented enough roster with just Pettersson, Hughes, and Demko alone to not be this bad. They're going to turn it around. Are they a playoff team / like second round team? Probably not. Maybe.
I think if they make the playoffs, I don't think they go any further than round 1. If they get to round 2, I'd be shocked. They'll probably get bounced. And especially if they're like a wild card team, they're going to play like Colorado or Calgary or some team like that. They're going to get bounced. So definitely 100%. Do they play tonight? They do not. They played last night against Seattle.
They play tomorrow.
They play tomorrow? Do they?
As far as I am aware, yes.
No, they do not.
Oh, well, then I'm wrong.
Who do they play? They play Tuesday against the Devils. So
they get a nice little rest.
Yeah, there is some time there to rest. But I mean, like, honestly, we did say this in the last episode. We did say they could turn around when they were 0-4, but they kind of did. They kind of didn't. So I don't really know. Hopefully this Ethan Bear acquisition will do a lot better for them. And I know we're going to talk about this team later, but I do want to say if this team does improve and come the trade deadline, they need some big blue liner acquisition. John Klingberg. That's who I'm looking at. If this team turns it around and let's say they're like, they're like a solid team, but they need that final blue line piece, I think John Klingberg would be great for him. 100%. And I mean, like,
this is a win now team, and you were kind of seeing them get kind of desperate here just with these trades. And I mean, it's helped them win games so far. At least have they won 1 or 2?
They've won 2.
Yeah, so they've won 2 games since those trades, and I mean, yeah, they've looked good in these past 2 games. And yeah, win now team. I'm sure they'll make a playoff push.
I think that and then Jack, you reminded me of something that I also saw on Instagram. I think that, and I think Elliot Friedman was the one that's suggested this, but he was saying that maybe just because of Vancouver like making these desperate trades and not wanting to just fully tear it down is mainly because of how ownership feels. Maybe ownership doesn't want this team to rebuild and they don't want this team to just tear it all down. Honestly, I think they should, and I know a lot of other TikTokers have talked about how this team is just mediocre and mid. And honestly, really, I think this team could be solid if they improve that blue line, but I don't think they go anywhere past the first round, even if they get a guy like John Klingberg.
No.
So, I don't know. What do you think, Carter?
Yeah, looking at their team, again, they had a road trip to start the year.
Yeah,
that's not always a good thing to start off with, but they're out of their winless rut. That's all. Sometimes that's all a team needs is a couple games to win. You get the ball rolling, and it's gonna keep going. So they have some winnable matchups coming up too. I was looking at their next couple games here, and there's some definite winnable matchups in there. You got what do they got? They got the Devils that they could probably beat, the Ducks, which they can for sure beat, Montreal possible to beat. They have a couple winnable matchups coming up, which can definitely help them there. Pettersson's playing well. He's point per game right now. The only issue that I'm looking at here is Besser is now hurt.
Really?
I don't know what it is though, because I checked the score and it says undisclosed. So I don't know if any of you know, but
I haven't heard anything. He may not have gotten reevaluated yet.
Yeah.
But I mean,
all I know is he's on injured reserve in one of my fantasy leagues, so I'm a little upset on that. But
yeah, I mean, fantasy's been rough for me. So
yeah, same. I'm about to be 0-3.
I'm terrible. I think in the NordCast league I'm 1-1, but I'm
gonna be 0-3 in that.
I have Krejci, Pasternak, and Marchand. So
that's a good stack.
Yeah, because you have the Boston Bruins as your AHL team.
Well, it's finally one of the few seasons where Marchand drops really far, and people kind of forgot. So I picked him up in the 5th round and put him on an IR, but he's already back, so it's
huge.
That was a very smart fantasy pool there. 100%.
And then I got one other thing. Mikheyev, he's starting to find his groove too. 4 points in his last 2 games, 2 goals in their first win, 2 assists in their last one. He's looked pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, arguably their biggest acquisition in this offseason. And I'll go back to the blue line. That is kind of what is concerning. I mean, if this team even went out and acquired a mediocre top 6 forward, I mean, they lost out on Klingberg, and that was probably the best defenseman in the market for this offseason. But if they just went out and even got somebody like Ethan Bear at the beginning of the year, maybe they wouldn't be as bad as they are right now. Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, do you guys have any last thoughts on the Canucks? Anything? All right. Well, then we're going to move on into the headlines, and we're going to start off with a big one, and it probably refers to the episode title. Phil Kessel is the NHL's brand new Iron Man after the record of Doug Jarvis was broken last year by Keith Yandel, and Yandel obviously retired. Phil Kessel was just literally right behind him, and he broke the record this past week against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and also scored his 400th career goal. And it's funny how and I think Michael Bartner talked about this when we had him on the podcast. He said how it's funny how the most unathletic player, and the player who will drink Coca-Cola and won't do the workouts or anything like that, and is one of the most funniest players and one of the most meme-worthy players in the NHL, is literally the NHL's Iron Man and has played almost 1,000 games in a row, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Just to think about that, we celebrate when a player hits 1,000 career games because that's such a big milestone.
Oh, yeah.
And he's about to do it without missing one, consecutively.
Yeah, that's
so hard to do
exactly.
in the toughest physical sport. One of, it's insane. And I feel like it's not getting as much because it is Phil Kessel, like you said, the Coca-Cola, the hot dogs, the memes. It's not getting as enough of a, this is actually an insane accomplishment to actually do. Considering as well, there's deep playoff runs in there as well. It's not just the regular season. We only count the regular season. But there were deep playoff runs, winning 2 cups with Pittsburgh back-to-back years. Those add up, you'd think at least, but he just keeps trucking along. There's something in that Coca-Cola. I think more players gotta get on that, honestly.
I think that's exactly what it is. And it's funny how the streak started in his debut as a Maple Leafs player, and he broke the Iron Man record playing against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh yeah, wow.
I thought that was pretty funny as well.
What is kind of funny too is Kessel was drafted by the Bruins, but if you notice most NHL graphics or anything when they celebrate it, they haven't posted anything of Kessel in the Bruins jersey.
Well, it's because that's kind of easily forgotten, but
it is. But it's they'll show when he played for Arizona.
But I feel like most people kind of see Kessel as a Leaf. Honest,
100%.
If you think Phil Kessel, I don't think most people think of Bruin. Most people will go straight to
Very true. You're not wrong.
A lot
as
of
a Bruin fan, I think of
a lot of people will think Penguins too, and you know me, I'll think Arizona. But I mean, I don't know. But I will say this though, he did start the streak when he debuted as a Maple Leaf, so maybe that's why he's not in any of the graphics as a Bruin.
You're right. Yeah, that's actually a good. And you know what? That actually is the reason. Never mind. All the games were played after Boston.
Yep.
Never
forget Bruins.
Ignore that.
Forget the Bruins. And you guys know that I like to throw in questions. And we'll try and go through this quickly because we're almost out of time in this meeting. But do you guys think Phil Kessel is a Hall of Famer after this? He's in the 400 goal club. I don't know if he has 1,000 points, but he has played over 1,000 games. Almost has played 1,000 games straight. What do y'all think?
It's close. I don't know, man. You guys, I want to hear what you guys.
I want to say yes. I want to
say yes too, but
I think he does. I think he does.
I think he does.
Does he have 1,000 points?
I'm looking at it. No, he does not. He does
not. Okay. Well, he'll probably get there. Right?
He hits the
1,000 point club. He's in there.
He'll hit 1,000. Yeah, I think definitely. But I think he has a better chance in making it than a guy like, I don't know, Patrick Marleau. Although he has played the most games in history, I still think he has a better chance. But just a pretty cool milestone overall. And
I wasn't sure either, but I was thinking, he won 2 cups, but if he was just a mediocre player on those cup runs, and it doesn't matter. But he put up 22 points in the 24 games in the first one, and then 23 and 25 in the second one. I think that's a Hall of Famer. He was a key member to both those cup wins. I think he's in.
Yeah.
Was he on any Olympic teams?
He might have
not that I'm aware.
Because I know they count international stuff as well. So
I always forget about the Olympic stuff. He might have been on World Junior teams, but I got no idea. Anyways, moving on here. The Coyotes last night played their first game at Arizona State University against the Winnipeg Jets. They lost 3-2 in overtime. Here's Carter doing his little dance because his Jets beat the Coyotes.
Yeah, suck on that, Nord.
But we blew a lead against y'all. We almost beat you guys. But and the funny thing is, scrolling through Instagram, seeing all these comments, and scrolling through Twitter as well, the Jets just chirped us the entire time on Twitter.
Yeah, it was awesome.
They were just chirping the Coyotes the entire time. But I mean, yeah, it's an interesting milestone. It was an interesting moment. 100%. I didn't watch it mainly because of I had work until 10:30 and the game started at 10:30, so I was already tired as it is. So I mean, that's part of the reason why I didn't watch it. But
it's kind of funny too, because didn't the old Jets go to become Phoenix?
Yeah, it was
like the connection. It all just came together. And
I think that's probably why they did it. The NHL used it.
They're at the downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, we got to move on a little bit quickly here. Devon Dubnyk has retired from pro hockey at age 36 and has joined NHL Network as a broadcaster. The 2004 14th overall pick played 542 games in the NHL from 2009 to 2021 with the Oilers, the Preds, the Yotes, the Wild, the Sharks, and the Avalanche. Always was one of my favorite goalies. He kind of just fell off a cliff since he left Minnesota. That's kind of really what there is to say about that. Sean Couturier is out 3 to 4 months again. This guy hasn't played since, I think, November of 2021. Maybe December. I'm not sure. But he has not played for a while, and that does make you very concerned if you're a Flyers fan 100%. Mm-hmm. As well as that, James Van Riemsdyk is also out 6 weeks. So Adam Boquist for the Columbus Blue Jackets is also out 6 weeks with a arm injury, so that is very rough. Hopefully he can return from that. And last but not least in our headlines, Lou Lamoriello is 80 years old. He is the first GM in the NHL in their history to GM a team at 80 years old. And when I heard this, it kind of made sense why they did nothing this offseason.
Yeah. He forgot the
offseason. He still thinks it's the offseason.
Yeah.
80 is crazy, man.
He's too old to even know what day it is. So
I don't think it's an accomplishment that people think it is. Like, he's been a GM forever. Yeah, that's.
I saw it and thought it was.
I wonder they haven't won a cup in a while.
I don't know. I thought it was very strange.
Yeah. Hey, good for him, I guess.
I don't know how he's still getting paid, but
I guess so.
Keep getting that bag.
I mean, we got to do it somehow. I mean, he's getting paid. He's providing for his family. I respect it. And although he's doing nothing for that Islanders team, I respect it. All right. Anyways, that does it for headlines. I think that's most of the headlines that have happened in this past week. But we're going to take a break here. We're going to move on to our next segment, and this one's going to be dedicated towards our man right here, Jack. All right. We'll be right back, y'all. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back. So coming off of teams that, aren't surprising where they are for some people, we're going to talk about a team that has so far surprisingly been pretty good, and that is the Chicago Blackhawks. This team right now, although they lost to Buffalo at the time recording this podcast, is actually third in their division right now with 9 points. They are 4-3-1 as of right now, and that loss was in overtime, right, Jack? Against
today, yeah.
Yeah, so they did get a point out of that as well. So they look solid. They look pretty good so far, and it could be just the early start, and we could look like idiots come next week. But Jack, I want to go to you first, since you're the big Blackhawks fan. We don't talk about your team too much. What are your thoughts so far this year?
Yeah, they've looked good. I mean, every shift they're out there fighting and working harder than the other team. I mean, that's pretty much been the story this year. They just go out there and fight. Every single line, man. It's really fun to watch. I mean, you got guys like Lafferty, Dickinson. I mean, Tyler Johnson, Taves has stepped it up this year. So all of them, they're working hard, man, and it's been fun to watch. When you compare the roster from last year to this year, and you look at beginning of last year and how bad they were compared to this year, I was not expecting this. I know it's early, but yeah, they've looked good.
Yeah, and comparatively speaking, this team, they just look more competitive. And they're kind of like a team, I don't know, let's throw in Philadelphia as an example. They're a team that, they weren't looked at to be competitive. They weren't looked at to be good. they were looked at to be terrible. And I'm going to be honest, as a Flyers fan, I said this team was going to be terrible. I said they were literally going to be like last in the East. They were going to be that bad. But I mean, so far, they've looked like they may have not looked good in all their games, but they looked competitive. And I think that's exactly what they need. And Luke Richardson, as the Blackhawks coach, has done a really good job at doing so. And I knew that when this team was rebuilding and this team was going to have a lot of like, oh, who's that? No-name players on their team. I knew some players were really going to take a step up and perform pretty well. And so far, there's been a couple teams that have done, or couple players that have, there's teams on the Blackhawks that have done that. It's been a long day. There's been a couple players on the Blackhawks that have done pretty good so far. Max Domi is one of those players that looks solid. 7 points so far this season. Jason Dickinson as well was an acquisition late there too. Sam Lafferty, like you said, a player from Pittsburgh that was looked at as almost nothing.
Traded for an AHL player.
Yeah, exactly. Has looked pretty good so far. And Taylor Radish as well. One of those young players who actually, if I'm correct, didn't he have chemistry with with some of these players down in the minors?
Radish did with Strom and DeBrincat.
Oh.
But they're gone now. So
never mind. But yeah, I mean, so far he's looked good too. And I mean, overall, this team just, I think, looks solid so far. And it may be early, but I'll ask you guys this question. Are the Blackhawks better than we think? Whoever wants to start with that.
I mean, I guess I'll go. I don't think they are. Like, they have proven themselves against some pretty decent teams, but if you look at the teams that they've lost to, and then compared to the teams they beat, like they lost to the Avs, lost to Vegas, lost to Edmonton, like those are, and Buffalo, obviously, those are some solid teams. But then you look at some of the teams that they beat. San Jose, they're not that good. Detroit, they beat in overtime. That's a pretty solid team there in that Atlantic Division. Seattle, they're not that great, like pretty much at all. And then Florida, who they beat, but the Flyers beat. So what does that say about Florida? And then, yeah. So they're probably a little bit better than we think. I don't think that they keep this up though. They got to maintain this. Max Domi has to maintain his pace. Dickinson's got to maintain his pace. Tyler Johnson, same thing. The only person that really looks like they can maintain their high scoring pace is Patrick Kane. I don't know if these other guys have the wheels to keep maintaining it, but
I'm not saying they're going to be like, third in the division, they're going to make the playoffs, but maybe
100%.
Maybe they finish like 6th or 7th and do a lot better than we think. And I think the biggest thing that I don't think they'll be absolutely horrible like we said they were going to be. Just from these couple of games, if they can stay like competitive and keep up with these teams, like with the loss against Edmonton, weren't they leading in that game? And against Buffalo too, they were leading, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that could be just a blown lead, which I mean, Vancouver does a good job at doing that. But I still think that like if they can stay competitive, I think that's enough for an acceptable team this year. So that's just what I think.
They're going to be a team that's hard to play against. That when teams play Chicago, they know that it's not just going to be a walk in the park. They're going to have to work to win that game. Like the Oilers did. That game was a back and forth. Draisaitl had to show up big. Like the big stars had to show up clutch time because the Blackhawks are they're there. They're just going to be a team that's going to steal points if you're not prepared for it. And sometimes with these teams, when they go into a season and everybody has like no expectations for them, they're the ones that like, hey, we got nothing to lose. Like that Canadians right now, they come off the 32nd overall finish and they're actually starting good this year. And Slavkovsky scored today and so did Caulfield because the young guys are just able to play their game. And that's what I think we're seeing with guys like Radish and Lafferty. They're just, hey, we have a chance in the NHL. Let's just play our butts off sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I like seeing. And this is why I kind of like rebuilding teams, and Arizona did this last year too. I like seeing players that like nobody knows about.
For sure.
Like, coming out of nowhere and doing really good. I know you guys likely don't know him, but Liam O'Brien, somebody for Arizona last year while they were rebuilding, came out of nowhere, looked really good. When Philadelphia was god-awful, just unwatchable last year, players that kind of came out of that were both Jack and Noah Cates. Wade Allison came out the year before. like I just like seeing players that like nobody knows about coming out and taking a step up and proving themselves and making themselves solidified players. So yeah, do I think Chicago keeps this up? No, they could fall off a cliff as soon as next week or as soon as the next game. But I mean, it's good to be happy right now. And I know Jack is probably pretty happy right now since Chicago sports aren't that good right now. Right,
Yeah,
Jack?
exactly. I'm a big Chicago sports guy, if you guys don't know. And we're mid. I'll say that. Very mid.
Yeah, not as good as Philly sports. We're on top.
Dude,
I
Philly
think
is
for Chicago
buzzing.
too. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Philly's buzzing right now.
I think for Chicago too, if Patrick Kane's playing at a high level, it's good for them as well because you want to keep his value up in case you do want to move him at the deadline.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't want him to like falter off and struggle like everyone expected the whole team to do. So if he's like playing really well, a team who's like just needs one more piece to contend for that cup, they might risk it all on Patrick Kane, Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is good too. And this kind of like backs up what you're saying. Somebody actually commented this on my TikTok when I talked about the Blackhawks having a solid start. They said that this could be a whole plot by Chicago to just improve player value. And I think that could be huge. And I mean,
that's probably what's going on right now.
Yeah,
whether they like it or not.
Yeah, come deadline, Kane could get dealt, Taze could get dealt, hell, Domi, Athanasiou.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah, that whole line. Kane, Domi,
Yeah.
Athanasiou.
Yeah,
Like, they're perfect
been
deadline
so good right
acquisitions.
they could just
Yeah,
get dealt out to a team and they could get a huge return, especially for Patrick
Totally.
Kane.
Totally.
Even
That's
Sam Lafferty,
Oh.
like that's a third or fourth line guy, just a hustler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you could get some huge return here, and maybe you can make this rebuild better than it may seem. But obviously, we don't know what's happening come deadline. Blackhawks could be, who knows? Blackhawks could be first in the division. They could be insane. But, I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we'll be honest. But I mean, yeah, Blackhawks right now, they look solid. Do they keep this going? Probably not, but I still think they will be a competitive team. And hey, maybe this is improving player value. So I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, but any last thoughts on the Chicago Blackhawks so far? Got anything?
Hopefully they keep it up.
Oh, okay. So moving on now, we're going to talk about a team that has been, I mean, like, I don't know if it's surprisingly bad, but they've been surprisingly worse than people thought they were going to be. The Anaheim Ducks are 1-6-1 right now. They played 8 games. They have 3 points. They have a .1888 point percentage, and they are -20. They are the worst in the NHL. Excuse me. They are worse than Vancouver. This team is just awful right now. And people said they were going to be like, oh, they were probably going to like finish 5th place. I even saw some people on TikTok saying, yeah, they'll make the playoffs. Yeah, they're a good team. Yeah, they'll make the playoffs. They'll do great. They're a good team. They'll make it. They've been god awful. Like, I mean, like on every single cylinder too. Like, I mean, Troy Terry is having a good season so far with 9 points. But apart from that, this team just isn't it. Like, it just like doesn't look like a good team overall. The goaltending is struggling. Carter will go into that in a second here, but this team just doesn't look good at all. So whoever wants to chip in first talking about Anaheim, just doesn't look so good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this team was going to be a playoff team. They probably won't be now, but I mean, Pacific is not very good division. It's probably the worst in the league, but it's still, still pretty good. But I mean, I don't know if they were destined for the playoffs, but they probably aren't now. But yeah, obviously we expected more from them. Young talent, just, I mean, pretty decent team. But yeah, slow start for them.
I think that could be just it. I think it could be just a slow start, but I mean, like, let me take a look at their competition. Carter might go into this, but let's take a look here. So they've played, okay, so their last loss was against Vegas. They lost 4-0. They played Tampa. They played Detroit. They played Boston. They played like 3 straight games against the Kings. Oh, no, that's preseason. I'm stupid. They started off the year against Seattle and they won. So they started their season 1-0, and then they just got pummeled, and they haven't won since. They started off the year with a win, and they are on a 7-game losing streak right now. They only have 1 point in that whole entire streak. And guess who that 1 point was against?
Boston, baby.
Austin. The best team in the league. It took them that long to beat the worst team. So I know Carter has some stats to go over. So
I'll let Max go, and then if he has anything.
No. He's just making.
You got nothing?
Yeah.
All right. So I was kind of looking through their thing and kind of like always looking at their games. Some of these games, like, they don't look winnable for that Ducks team, though. The only one that honestly seemed winnable was the Kraken. Maybe even the Islanders. Those, like, if you were starting that season and going through that looks to be the only team. So kind of a tough couple matchups to start. Like, and 6 out of their first 8 games were on the road. And we saw how that worked for the Canucks too. Like, that's never really something good for success at the start of the year. But again, and then kind of going into what their issue could be, I don't think it's John Gibson. I think their issue is that defense. As much as you want to say that Gibson hasn't looked good, this man has faced the most shots out of any other goalie in the league by 10. The next closest being Thatcher Demko, and the Canucks have sucked. He's also made the most saves out of any goalie. Out of any goalie in the league, he has made the most saves with 206. At the time of, like, before all these games started today, he had the most saves with 206 out of every goal that's been shot at him. But he has, like, one of the worst save percentages in the league. So at what point do you feel like he's giving us chances to win and we're just not helping him?
No.
The Ducks just aren't helping John Gibson right now.
No.
And I feel like that's their biggest issue.
Yeah.
If you can't help your goalie, you're not going to win hockey games. It doesn't matter how many points you put up. If you're not there to back up your goalie, you're not winning hockey games. I hate to say it, but you're not going to win hockey games.
And to add on to that, analytically, they are the 5th worst team in expected goals against, so they're allowing a ton of chances on Gibson. And the offense isn't there to help out at all because they're the 2nd worst expected goal differential at a minus 6.67. The only team worse than them is the Coyotes. So they're not playing good defense in front of Gibson, who's doing all he can, but then it's not like they're playing better offensively to help make up for it. They're just bad on both ends.
Yeah, they can't defend, they can't score. Like,
that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you can't win hockey games like that. And then kind of looking at their stats here, Zegras 5-8, McTavish 4-8, Troy Terry been the only one who can actually do something with 9 points in 8 games. Like, the rest of this team, just all I'm seeing is, like, other than Vetrano and Strome, all I'm seeing is 2s, 1s, and 0s. Like, they just can't click right now. I don't know what it is, but they're just not clicking. Again, this isn't a team that's supposed to contend by any means, but their game should be a lot closer than this. And
yeah,
just not looking like a great team right now.
Yeah. And I mean, like, again, like, it is early and they do have one more game in the month and it's against Toronto.
Not a winnable one, I don't think
they win that one either. But then again, though, Toronto did lose to San Jose and they did lose to LA. So
they're on a Pacific road trip. So, and those are for teams, especially teams in the East. Those aren't easy ones to win.
No, they aren't. So I don't know. And like, this isn't just a problem. These stats that we bring up aren't just from this season. This has been kind of stats for a while. I think they haven't been as bad, but they've definitely been since down by the bottom for the past couple of years now. And
for sure.
And I think those Gibson stats that you brought up, Carter, I think he's been up there in most shots against and probably maybe most saves for a long time now.
For his entire career, basically.
Yeah, this defense just honestly ain't it. And it's kind of like Vancouver, where it's been a consistent problem for the past couple of years. And I think they're relying on the prospects. Jamie Drysdale, Pavel Mintyukov, I think, is the guy that they got in last year's draft. You know, this
McTavish.
team, McTavish as well. Like, this team, you know, they're trying to rely on the prospects to improve that blue line. And they did bring in John Klingberg, but honestly, it hasn't been
he hasn't looked great either.
No. They're just honestly, like, this team just ain't it right now.
Well, he's supposed to help their offensive game too, and like looking at it, he's not done anything.
No.
Yeah, if I'm Anaheim, maybe you try and be like Vancouver. Maybe try and make a trade, try and turn this around. But like right now, and like we're like the first people that are talking about this too. Like I haven't seen anybody talk about Anaheim having a horrible start to the year like they are right now. So I don't know. Can they turn it around? Probably not. I mean, like let's take a look at their upcoming schedule. They play San Jose, Vancouver, San Jose. Then Florida, then Minnesota for the first 5 games in November. So they could probably win three of four, maybe.
I think they take those. Like honestly, the only winnable ones looking at that schedule is the first 3.
Yeah, like I think after that,
they're not beating Florida, not at all. Minnesota, I don't think they beat them either. Chicago, as we talked about, Chicago's going to have to keep playing good at that point to maybe make that another upset, but
they could. Yeah, but I mean, I can't see it.
I don't like this Anaheim team right now.
Yeah, no, and people were really hyping up this team too.
For sure.
People were saying
buying into the Zegras hype.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Everyone was buying into Zegras and being so hyped. No, they just haven't looked like it, and I think maybe the reason why could be Sonny Milano. Maybe that's why Zegras was so up there last year. Just saying. It's early.
They had some good chemistry.
Yeah, it's early. I'm not going to go crazy, but that honestly, could be it. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see there. But anyways, we're going to take one last break. Actually, sorry. And do you guys have any last thoughts on the Chicago Ducks stuff?
So.
Nope. All right. Well, we're going to take a little bit break, and then we're going to go into a fun topic. It's Halloween, so we're going to talk about some Halloween jersey concepts. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. So to wrap up this final segment of this episode, the Halloween special of the NordCast, me and the guys are going to take a look at some Halloween-themed NHL jerseys. Now, I haven't sent any of them to anybody. I think I sent one to Max as like an example of what we're going to look at. So I think it was the Rangers one. I think he knows what it's going to look like. So obviously you guys can't see the jerseys. That kind of makes this really stupid. I just now realized that. But I will be giving credit to the people who made these jerseys. It's novacastfan.com. I will have a link in the podcast bio that supports these guys. I'll probably donate some money to these guys as well. See the nice little PayPal logo there. But yeah, I have my screen shared. This segment may get uploaded to YouTube actually. So yeah, anyways, we're going to get into it. So these jerseys are in a completely different order. We'll try and go through them as fast as we can. If anybody has any like rapid fire reactions, whoever wants to react. All right. Starting off, Edmonton Oilers. Look at this thing.
Man, that's sweet.
I actually really like that.
That's hard. That's nice.
I really like that.
That's awesome.
It's got the eyes on the sleeves. It's got like everything's melting.
It's got the giant eye on the oil.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even see that. I think that looks really
Imagine McDavid in this thing just cooking up the people on defense.
Man, I wish the NHL would do things like this because the NBA has like their city jerseys and they have just like different theme night jerseys.
Yeah.
And I know the NHL sometimes do that, but
like they do like military appreciation, hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, but they only wear it for like warm-ups and then it's back to their regular jerseys. I wish they would actually wear them like in the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, like with jerseys like that, with the hockey fights cancer, I think it'd be difficult. But like with these kind of jerseys, this would be very cool. And I think it's a lot of different marketing opportunities. Like the reverse retros are great, but like this kind of jersey,
get creative with it, guys.
Very cool.
Exactly.
Next up, Vancouver.
Ooh.
Got like nice. They made the runner guy look like a zombie.
That is their reverse retro logo, right?
Yeah, that is. It kind of does look like the reverse retro, just spooky.
Yeah,
I think it's very cool. I like.
Yeah, I don't mind this one.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's pretty nice. I like it.
Maybe they win some games wearing it. Who knows? Next up is Toronto. What the heck is going on?
1967. That's funny.
Wow.
That was the first thing I noticed.
The logo.
Oh,
yeah, at the top there, I just saw it.
The logo is very distorted.
Yeah, they got like the trees on the sleeves. They got a tombstone and like a cross down there at the bottom. I think that's a very cool concept.
It
Yeah.
is.
That definitely says playoff chances on it. Right on the tombstone.
That might actually say it.
I think it does.
I have no idea. I'm just assuming.
Next up, Nashville. Ooh, that's
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Trippy to the eyes, but I like it.
yeah. It's like the skeleton predator. That's kind of cool.
No,
Okay.
that's actually
why-
fire.
I would really like the NHL to do this. It would create so much more marketing opportunities.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie.
definitely would, yeah.
I'm kind of scared of whatever that thing could have ever been. I'm scared of it.
It looks like a dinosaur.
A
It kinda
predator,
looks
yeah,
like
that's
a
what it is.
dinosaur. Looks like some kind of prehistoric animal.
That's sick.
Next up, Philly.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's heat. That one's heat. It definitely gives off the Halloween feel too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like
the orange.
Flyers
and-
are orange, so I guess it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But that is a pretty nice jersey. It's not. I don't.
Definitely not one of the best ones, but
Yeah, it's not
I mean,
one of the best
it's
ones.
mid.
Next up, Colorado. Ooh, they
Okay. This is my favorite so far.
I like that one a lot
That's
with the
nice.
feet.
It's a nice looking jersey.
yeah, they had a lot of potential with the Bigfoot, and I like the melting sea. That looks very cool. This is
Yeah.
my favorite.
That's nice.
one. I just love the color scheme. I think that's what makes this look so cool. Just like it looks
That's
very.
nice.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree.
That definitely goes well.
Yeah. Next up, Ottawa. Ooh.
Ooh,
I like that.
I like that one.
Oh, that's fire.
The
That's
red
good.
eyes
That
are
logo
fire.
is very
vibes.
good.
Got the skeleton skull. I like that a lot. That's very cool. Next up.
yes.
Carolina.
Ooh,
That's sweet.
Kind of got the wavy feel there. Oh, by the way, this was made in 2021, so I don't think Seattle will be on here. They might be, but I don't think so. So
That's fine.
sorry, Kraken fans. Oh wait, they might because it's October 11th when this was made. So maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
well, it says bunch of jerks and take warning on it, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they had a lot of potential with that. I think they did good.
Yeah,
Next
Oh,
up,
and get it like the eyes in the middle, like the eye of the storm.
Yeah,
or
the
the
eye.
hurricane.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Next up, Pittsburgh. Just
Yeah,
like
that's
okay,
nice.
that's nice.
that's very cool.
That's nice because I'm biased for the black and yellow, but
Oh yeah, very.
now I'm
nice.
scared for the Bruins one. If there's like some creepy meth bear,
Oh. Next up, Tampa Bay.
Nice.
That one's nice.
yeah,
Get the lightning bolts. They had some potential there. I think it looks cool. You can see like the
Yeah.
clouds kind of and like the bolts
Mhm.
coming out of them. I think that's a very cool jersey. Rangers. This is the one I showed Max.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's sick.
This
that's
looks interesting.
very dark with the bloody eyes.
Yeah, the Liberty guy's dying.
Giving off purge vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
Great
think
movie.
that's really nice though. I like the
Yeah.
numbers too. I think that looks cool. Next up, Vegas.
There you go. See, Vegas has a lot of potential and stuff like this.
Yeah, that's clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
The
would be
people at the
nice,
bottom.
and this would be cool if they did the glow in the dark type stuff. Like if the logo.
Oh yeah,
100%.
that's right.
I think
Yeah.
that would be very cool. For Vegas, definitely. Next up is Los Angeles.
The logo's kind of blended in a bit too much for me. I wish it
Yeah.
stood out a bit more.
It's like the
Other
like
than that, it's nice.
smoke coming through there. Kind of interesting. I don't know. It's all right. Next up is Anaheim.
Oh,
That's
that's
nice.
nice.
I think they had more potential.
It's really nice.
I'm gonna be honest.
They definitely had more potential.
It's still
but
nice,
it's
but
clean.
I like the,
It's
I like the
clean.
Ducks logo. I think that's
Yeah, that's a nice looking jersey.
Next up, what?
Ooh.
Whoa.
Oh, Minnesota. I was like, what is this?
Oh.
Um,
I wish the logo stood out at all.
If the logo stood out more,
Oh,
this
it's
would be-
I see the bear more now. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a star constellation almost.
Oh
Yeah, no, I get that.
There. Okay, I didn't even notice that until now.
I didn't even
Oh,
see the
wow.
bear. I just saw like the top, but then I see the teeth.
Yeah.
if
I kind
the
of changed my mind a bit.
if the logo stood out more though, I still think it looked very nice. But I still like that jersey. That's very cool. Next up is I can't even tell what some of these are.
Islanders.
Islanders. Look at this.
The fisherman, that's
That's
sick.
sweet. Okay,
That's
this one's my
very cool.
favorite, I think.
Oh, it's like an underwater city too. That's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
That's
that's
one of the nicer ones. Oh, bro,
It is a.
It's the
What
meth
is
bear.
that? That's actually kind
It
of
is.
clean.
that is kind of cool. I got like the bloody teeth. I like that.
I figured that's the route they were gonna go, and I don't hate it. I don't
I think
hate it.
that-
I
I
know a
think
lot
that
of
was
people
very
don't
cool,
like
dude.
that bear, but there's.
I have no idea what the Hawks are gonna do here.
I like the meth bear. Oh, Jack, you're acting like this is like actual official. Like these are fan made. You're like, what are the Hawks?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, just the way I worded that. Yeah, that did. Yeah, I see.
Florida.
It's three
Yeah,
heads now.
Yeah, 3 heads.
I don't know
That's
why.
cool.
That reminds me of the Moncton Wildcats. One of the
Yeah.
teams.
Actually, yeah, it does.
like when I look at that, I see that logo. Yeah,
Okay,
it's kind of cool. I like the claw marks on it.
Yeah, the scratches on the side.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. Next up, Washington.
Ooh,
Wait.
You see the Capitol down below.
I like that.
The Screaming Eagle. I think that's nice.
That's cool. That's cool.
Oh, that's it. I guess there isn't any more. I guess they didn't.
Dang, no Hawks.
Or any other teams. Hold on a second. Let's take it. Let me scroll the globe real quick because that took a little bit shorter than we thought it was going to. Let's scroll the globe. See if there's any spooky themed jerseys. Look at this one. Pumpkins.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. Happy Halloween. That's like an actual official jersey. We should cop that. But yeah, I think that's it for our Halloween jersey concepts. I figured there'd be like all 31 or 32 teams, but guess not. But yeah, out of all of these, which one's your favorite? Which one do you guys think was the best in your opinion?
I like the Islanders one.
Bring my bias
Islanders
aside. 'Cause
Bias.
the Bruins one is very nice.
Let me scroll through these again. I might go with Colorado. I like Colorado's a lot, but the Islanders one I thought was very cool too. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's all we have for today. That's all we have for the NordCast episode numero 7. We would like to thank you all for listening. We'd like to thank Max for coming on for an episode.
Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Max.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I don't think we talk about it too much, but I mean, like, hey, you're the sole reason why this stuff even exists.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
You were one of my inspirations at the start. I think, Carter, you were one of his inspirations too. Yeah,
Appreciate it, guys.
you really did grow hockey TikTok.
Yeah, we all just like having fun, and it's a lot better to have fun talking hockey with a bunch of other hockey fans from across the world, basically.
Yeah.
So
It's always
you
good.
guys are doing good work, so keep it up.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate that.
For sure.
But yeah, anyways, it does it for episode numero 7 of the NordCast. Thank you all very much for listening. For us, Sporsley on the past couple podcasts, we'll try and get episodes out each week. So expect another episode in the coming week as well. But anyways, and I'll throw this in here too. We have been talking to some other hockey TikTokers. It's not just Max that we talk to. We're going to talk to some Habs fans, some Senators fans, and some people who maybe have followed me back as long as the Nordic and Mark podcast I have of Marcusi. He might be coming on the podcast very, very soon. He's seeing the good work that we're doing.
There's another Bruins fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have him on too, talk about the Bruins.
Yeah.
And then as well as that, we've been talking to other NHL players, quote unquote, talking. So yeah, we're trying to get some more recognition, and we're going to bring you guys some very good content. But anyways, thank you all very much for listening. For us pros late, we really do appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next episode of the pod.
Thank you for listening.
Peace out.
Thank you.